show you a particular installation of the Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring. The fraud scoring tool is installed on the bank's network in a secure way, and transactions pass through it at a very high speed. In a day, 7 million transactions are being handled with a turnaround time per transaction of less than 10 milliseconds. So it's hard to see this tool running. Hence, we made a presentation that will show you what is involved in running this tool. This bank has annual revenues close to 49 billion, and they are a leading private bank with a customer base of 68 million customers, retail customers. They have branches across 4,065 locations. The synchronous fraud scoring can be used for multiple channels of financial transactions. We are showing here a money machine transactions, point of sale transactions, card-based transactions with card being present or not present. It can also be used for mobile banking, internet banking, and UPI transactions, United Payments Interface payments. The fraud scoring works on the basis of a customer genome that it constructs. This genome is different for different channels. Based on the type of the transaction, appropriate information is collected, and ML models fire on this information to provide a score vector for that transaction. The machine learning models themselves are built using historical data and are continuously updated. It is very important in the area of fraud detection that the models be constantly rebuilt so that concept drift and data drift are handled effectively. The high-level architecture for the solution looks like this. QSFS is sitting here, and it works on non-real-time transactions as well as real-time transactions. And as you can see, it is not tightly integrating into the system that may be prevalent at that bank. This was a conscious decision. Each bank has its own systems with its own vendors running parts of the system. So we felt that the fastest way to incorporate fraud scoring from Quadratyx into a bank is to have it as an external component that is taking in certain information from the bank's network and returning a score vector. And for non-real-time, near real-time transactions as well as real-time transactions, the computation is in milliseconds. For real-time transactions, it is less than 10 milliseconds. This picture shows the architecture of the system in a little more detail. As you can see, there is substantial amount of feature engineering and model execution that need to be done. FRM is the fraud and risk management software that the bank is currently using. So with all popular fraud and risk management platforms, Quadratyx synchronous fraud scoring can be integrated. The system scales as per the volume of the transactions. Because these are dynamic channels, it is hard to cap the volume, especially in channels like UPI. We are seeing billions of transactions come in. Hence, the system is designed to load balance itself, and it also is built on open source components, supported open source components, and this ensures that the bank does not have to pay license fees for commercial software packages to run fraud scoring. Whatever systems the bank currently has, of course, they continue to use those, but over and above that, there are no other additional licenses that synchronous fraud scoring requires them to take. And all the transactions and their feature vectors and the fraud scoring are cached they can be looked at in the future if it is desired to probe into specific transactions and why they have been scored in a certain way for fraud. Similarly, periodic reports are generated on scoring, how much time it took, whether the scoring was accepted, in the sense the actions taken by the system. If the system is providing a score to the bank systems, and bank system has a rule, let's say the fraud and risk management system has a rule to stop that transaction, we record that this was the fraud score for the transaction and the fraud and risk management system actually blocked it or did not block it. And then there is a feedback that comes into the system after we know whether it's a fraudulent transaction or not, after the bank knows whether it's a fraudulent transaction or not. And this feedback in turn comes into retraining the system periodically. This is a snapshot in a given month on the benefit. You can see that there are $47 billion worth of transactions that have been made, out of which fraud transactions are about $4 million worth. And the software, Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring, catches 3.13 million out of the 3.93 million of the frauds. So its catch rate is very high compared to what the fraud and risk management system, which for this bank is a state-of-the-art fraud and risk management system that they have been using for many years. It's a global system, and it caught about $1.9 million worth of fraudulent transactions, whereas Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring caught 3.13 million. The KPIs, multiple KPIs are maintained by the system as it runs. These KPIs, in fact, are looked at on a daily basis by the system. So these are number of card transactions processed, first fraud, how many times the fraud has been identified the first time it occurs. And that is significantly improved because of Quadratyx system. 218% increase in first fraud identification strike rate. Similarly, real-time transaction declines are reduced by 64% because of Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring. Spurious fraud scores are not given. These are fraud scores that are derived out of a comprehensive customer genome and sophisticated machine learning models. So transaction declines significantly come down. False positives significantly come down, 57% here. And the cost to detect a fraud comes down significantly. This is 88% reduction. And similarly, the latency, that is the processing time, also improves because of this. The business benefits, there are multiple business benefits that are listed here. In addition to the volume that it can handle and the sub-second response rates that it has, the model provides explicability. So any decision that is taken on the basis of machine learning scores can be revisited, can be looked at on why a particular transaction got declined or did not get declined. Similarly, the system is adaptable. When new fraud patterns emerge, the machine learning system adapts quicker than rule-based systems. Rule-based systems are the norm for catching fraud in banking transactions today. Similarly, the architecture, because it is microservices based, very rapidly scales to serve the transactions without dropping the latency of response, without increasing the latency of response. And it is possible that transactions can be looked at in real time. That is why this is called synchronous fraud scoring. If the transaction is happening very fast, such as in the context of UPI transactions, the response times are in a few milliseconds, a handful, 4 or 5 milliseconds, and it is possible for Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring to operate at that level, 4 to 5 milliseconds of response time on, let's say, 10,000 transactions per second and volumes of 1 billion transactions per month, or 10 billion transactions per month. This kind of scale is possible with Quadratyx Synchronous Fraud Scoring. Thank you very much.